Hello again and welcome to this series for the Boeing 737 procedures and flows. In the previous videos we covered the normal procedures, and in this video we'll be going over some of the non-normal procedures, basically the B1 cut. And that is engine flame out, severe damage, separation, or engine fire after B1 in which you continue to take off. We'll be going over the gauges, how do they look for each failure, and the sequence of the steps. Now remember, if you have an engine failure as a pilot monitoring, you should announce engine failure, whether it is a severe damage, separation, or just a flame out, and then you stand by. After you rotate and you have a positive rate, the pilot monitoring will announce positive rate, pilot flying request gear up. And then you stand by until 400 feet. So at 400 feet, which is the minimum altitude to execute any memory items, and the airplane is under control, the pilot flying will verify or request a roll mode, like heading select or LNAV, and then he will ask the pilot monitoring to identify the problem. Pilot monitoring will look at the gauges, identify which engine, and then whether it is a severe damage, separation, or just a flame out. The pilot flying should confirm the failure, and if there are any memory items, it can be done at this stage if the airplane under control. And the only one without any memory items is the engine flame out. So if you have an engine flame out, then you just continue the takeoff, continue the climb up to 1,000 feet or the flaps retraction height. Once you reach 1,000 feet, ask to set up speed. So the pilot monitoring will set flaps up speed, retract the flaps on schedule, and once the airspeed is at the up speed, you can request the level change, max continuous, or engage the autopilot. And if you engage the autopilot, the pitch mode will change to MCP speed, which is level change, and then ask for the max continuous power. Okay, so now we'll start with an engine severe damage to demonstrate the failure and the how the gauges look and the sequence of events, and then we'll cover the engine flame out after that. So we'll start a normal takeoff, spooling the engine up to 40% N1. And once the engine stabilizes at or around 40%, then we press toga and announce the FMA changes. So N1 heading select toga, set takeoff thrust. Pilot monitoring should verify or set the takeoff thrust, and then thrust is set. 80 knots announced by the pilot monitoring, pipeline check. Throttle hold is a call by pilot flying. And then we have B1 rotate. And as you can see now, we have the failure. The lower display will come on automatically if you have any abnormality. So as you can see, N1 is showing 0. We have engine fail showing on the EGT gauge, and N2 is showing 0 as well. So if you have one or both N1 and N2 indicating 0 rotation, then that is an engine CJ, no rotation, and that is an engine severe damage. So the pilot monitoring will announce engine failure, and that's it. Pilot flying graduate, and you just try to control the airplane, get it back on center line, and rotate. Positive rate, gear up, gear up. So 400 feet, the pilot flying should verify or request a roll mode. So we have here heading select, so we are already having a roll mode, and then he will ask the pilot monitoring to identify the failure. Pilot monitoring, we'll look at the gauges again and verify. Okay, we have number one, engine severe damage. Pilot flying should verify and confirm. Okay, so confirmed engine severe damage, and then he will request the memory items or recall items for engine severe damage. It's an area of responsibility. So the first one is auto throttle disconnect. Since it is in the area of responsibility of the pilot flying, he will disconnect the auto throttle. Thrust lever number one, confirm is going to be done as well by the pilot flying and close. The engine start lever and the engine fire switch is going to be done by the pilot monitoring, since it is in his area of responsibility. So start lever number one, confirmed, cut off. Fire switch number one, confirmed, pull. If there's no light illuminated, then you don't have to turn it. And then memory items are complete for an engine severe damage. Of course, the pilot flying will be continuing his flying the airplane, climbing, and trying to maintain the track if possible. And now what we are waiting for is just to reach the 1000 for the acceleration to retract the flaps. Okay, so there is the 1000 feet. And that is not a call in the FCTM, but since the pilot flying is under a lot of workload at this point, it's a good idea for the pilot monitoring to announce 1000. That's not a procedure, actually, it's a technique only. If the pilot flying is aware that he has reached 1000 and he requested the up speed, then you don't have to say anything. So, okay, 1000 feet, set flaps up speed, or set up speed. Pilot monitoring will set the up speed. And then pilot flying will be just continually flying the airplane. Okay, so when the speed is at the one speed, then the pilot flying will request flaps up. So flaps up. Okay, so once you reach the up speed here indicated, you can do either two things as a pilot flying. Either engage the autopilot, in which you'll be transitioning to level change MCP speed, and then request max continuous N1, or ask for a level change, max continuous N1. It's a good idea to engage the autopilot as soon as possible, just to reduce the workload. So we'll go ahead with engaging the autopilot. And as soon as you engage it, it will change to MCP speed. And then the pilot flying will request max continuous N1. So the pilot monitoring will go here to N1 limit page, continuous. So now the display here on the N1 gauge is going to be the continuous power, 97.3, and then go ahead and set it. So now the items have been executed. The autopilot has been engaged. We are climbing level change now. The pilot flying will request non-normal checklist for engine severe damage. Once that's completed, then the pilot monitoring should perform his after takeoff flow, which is auto brake to off, landing gear to off, engine start switch to off, or you can leave it at continuous, and then do the after takeoff normal checklist. After that, you'll be doing the one engine in-up landing checklist. and then probably will be returning back to land in the same airport. So basically that's the steps, the sequence. As soon as you have the failure, the pilot monitoring will announce engine failure, positive rate, and then gear up. 400 feet the pilot line should verify or request a roll mode. And then memory items, if there is any, it can be done at this point if the airplane is under control. 400 feet is the absolute minimum altitude to do any memory items. And then you continue the climb up to 1,000 feet or the acceleration height, and then you set flaps up speed, retract flaps on schedule. Once the speed is at the up speed, you either engage the autopilot or request level change, and then max continuous N1. So you go to the CDU, N1 limit page, continuous, and then you set the power for the max continuous. Continue the climb. Do the non-normal checklist for the engine severe damage or the failure that you have. Do the after takeoff flow. Do the after takeoff checklist. Get the weather. Do the one engine in-up landing checklist, and then continue the steps from there. And probably in the simulator, the scenario will be a radar vectors back to the airport that you took off from. This is for the engine severe damage. And now we'll just demonstrate the engine flame out. How are the gauges looking for an engine flame out and the sequence of events for the engine flame out. For the engine flame out, the indication will have N1 here spooling down, but you'll have a reading, it's going to be more than 0. EGT will be spooling down, but you have a number as well. N2 is going to spool down as well, but you still have an indication of a rotation in N2 here, and cross speed start is going to be announced here on the N2 gauge. Engine fail will be announced in the EGT gauge, and you'll have the normal low oil pressure indicated here. The only way for me to simulate an engine flame out here in PMDG is just to lower the fuel in one of the tanks. So we'll demonstrate now a takeoff with an engine flame out after V1. The lower display will pop out in the actual airplane automatically when you have any abnormality indicator. Okay, so let's do that now. So again, normal takeoff, spinning up to 40% N1. And the engine stabilizes. N1 heading select targets, takeoff thrust. Knots check, throttle hold. V1, rotate. So positive rate, gear up. Okay, now I have the flame out for the number 1 engine. As I said again, the lower display will pop out by itself. And as you can see, N1 and N2 are spooling down, but you still have a reading. Engine fail is announced in EGT gauge, and cross speed start is announced in N2 gauge, and the low oil pressure will come as. So the pilot monitoring will announce engine failure. Pilot flying will continue the takeoff. So we are above 400 feet already. Verify or request a roll mode. 1,000 feet. Since there are no memory items, we'll set flaps up speed. So we'll go with the flaps up speed. Okay, so again, when the green one here is at the indicated airspeed, flaps up. And now we are waiting for the indicated airspeed to be at the up speed. And then again we can engage the autopilot, which will revert to a level change MCP speed, or request level change max continuous angle. So we are at up speed now. The pilot line can go ahead and engage the autopilot. And the pitch mode will change to MCP speed. And then you request the max continuous N1 from the pilot monitoring. So the pilot monitoring will go again to the CDU, N1 limit, continuous. When you select it, go ahead, verify it on the announced here, continuous 97.2, and then the pilot monitoring should set it since the pilot line have requested the max continuous N1. Okay, so after you set it, we'll go back here to the next page. And now we will do the non-normal checklist for an engine flame out. After you finish it, you will do the after takeoff flow, followed by the after takeoff normal checklist, then the one engine in our landing checklist. That's the sequence for the events. We have now seen the severe damage where we have memory items, and we have the engine flame out where we do not have any recall items for this failure. The one thing to highlight here is once you have an engine failure on takeoff, you don't have to say anything to ATC until above 400 feet and the airplane is under control and the recall items at least have been done. When you call ATC, we'll advise them the source on board, fuel on board the airplane in hours. The Boeing is 737, burns about 5,000 pounds per hour. So for example, in this case we have about 8,000, so 1 hour and a half or so. And always advise ATC to stand by so you complete all the steps. And do not let them rush you for the approach or anything, especially in the simulator when you are doing your training. You can always request delay vectors for the approach. For the indications now, we have demonstrated the engine severe damage, in which we have either zero rotation for N1 or N2 or both of them. Engine flame out, we have a rotation. Everything is normal for the engine flame out except everything is pulling down, but we don't have any other warnings. Engine fire, of course, is going to be announced by the fire warning, the bill, and the light. And if you have pilot monitoring and you have the fire warning on takeoff, then go ahead and cancel the warning and announce engine fire, and that's it. Do not let the warning goes on until you reach 400 feet. You don't have to do that. And of course, the fire source is going to be eliminated for the engine fire. The engine separation is going to be identified by blank boxes. If you have an engine separation, let's assume for number 1, the box here is going to be blank. Nothing is going to be indicated here in N1. EGT is going to be blank as well, and N2 is going to be blank. So if you have those 3 gauges, blank, non-zero, blank, nothing is shown here, then that is an engine separation. So for the engine fire separation or severe damage, it's the same checklist, same recall items, and same sequence of events. For engine flame out, it's slightly different since we don't have any recall items. That's basically what I wanted to cover for an engine failure on takeoff. I hope that this video is going to be of some benefit for you in your training. Should you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And again, you should follow the steps and the sequence in your company SOP, QRH, FCOM, and the FCTI. Wish you all the best.